Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host Nicholas Hauka here with David Hollinshead. As a great new metal band Stained once said, it's been a while, but we are back nearly halfway through the NFL season here. But me and Dave were busy with a couple of things. I was busy working in the Canadian Football League, but now that that is finished, we are back here and we're going to be here every week to give you what you need, all things NFL. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Nick. Like the great Jason Aldean said, we back in the saddle. Now, while Nick was too busy doing professional football, I've just been doing amateur theater and living that sad, poor, starving artist life. Dreams do come
A
true,
lot.
kid.
Dreams do come true. Just keep grinding. Just keep grinding. So much mental toughness, which I try to preach to my high school players. So I
Which really worked out in that
for all of
playoff
that.
game.
We don't need to talk about that. So anyway, guys, way the show is going to work now that we are in the regular season, rather than talking draft grades and stuff like that, which we will do coming up in the off season, but we'll save that for, like March-ish, February. What we're going to do is every show is going to be split into 5 segments. So we're going to have number 1, our weekly headlines. We'll go over primetime games or a particular crazy game in general. Then we'll have a segment called What's Wrong With? This week, we'll be talking about what's wrong with Sam Darnold against the Rams. That will change every single week. We're going to dive into the film for you guys, do some PowerPoint breakdowns to kind of show you guys like what's going on in certain situations, give you a full picture. And then we will do Squashing the Narrative. So this week, we're going to talk about Travis Hunter. Every week, we'll have a narrative, and we will squash it for you guys. And the last segment we will do every single show will be Canadian Player of the Week, as we are Canadian here on our wonderful Film Grinders podcast. We will be showcasing a Canadian who has showed up either in college or in the NFL that week. So we'll get this started, Dave, with weekly headlines, segment number 1 of the year. Dave, we're going to talk about MetLife Turf. Matt LaFleur came out earlier today talking about how something needs to be done, and this has been a thing that's been discussed for so long. When is enough enough? How many Keeleys need to go before they make a change here, Dave?
At least one more, but it's hard to keep track. It's tough to put a number on it. It's unfortunate. I think it really. We've talked about this a lot the past couple of years. Like you've said, it's been in the headlines, kind of in and out, over and over and over. And I think it's just the grass is always going to be greener, and that pun is fully intended. I think if we switch everything back to grass, there'll be other issues that are going to come up in the next 10 years after that people are going to complain about. But right now, like you're right, we're seeing a lot of Achilles, turf toe injuries, knee injuries that are just have been plaguing the league. I don't know when or if they will make the switch back to just natural grass. I don't honestly think that's going to happen anytime soon, though. I think they just got to live in the new world.
It's weird, though. Like when you hear from players and coaches, it seems to be the MetLife Turf in particular.
Specifically?
Specifically. So I don't understand. There's been so many things done for player safety that are terrible for the game. Like quarterbacks can't be breathed on anymore in the pocket. Quarterbacks are allowed to make suicide passes to their receivers, and targeting a defenseless receiver is a new call, which I think makes the game worse. Here's an instance where the league actually has an opportunity to make a good call and a good change to player safety and help players save their Achilles. And there's been lots of high profile injuries. Bosa got hurt and pulled or destroyed his Achilles, tore it. There's just been so many cases of this, and not having your star players because of terrible turf. It's the New York Jets organization. Like, you can't tell me they don't have enough money to switch this at this point. Don't you think, Dave?
Especially when there's 2 teams that are kind of sharing the same house. There's no reason that both owners couldn't go kind of in together to make this better. I don't know what it is. I think the joke answer is it's just the mediocrity that is the 2 franchises. But for like a real serious answer, I don't know what it could be, why they don't do it.
gotta. They talk about protecting their star players all the time. They just refuse to do something that, to me, seems very doable and easy to control, well within their grasp. But anyway, I think that's ridiculous.
Well, to be fair, I think the
Moving
Jets
on.
really did move to protect a lot of their star players. Sauce Gardner's now in Indy, Quinnen Williams.
Hey, yeah, they certainly did. Quinn Williams looking pretty good in Dallas. We'll talk about that later. Um, yeah, pretty crazy. Another thing happening this week, Dave, which this is the second occurrence this year, I believe. Jamar Chase getting suspended for spitting on a player. We saw that earlier this year in week one when Jalen Carter did it. What is going like have you this wasn't a thing before, was it? This rarely ever happened. Twice in 1 year? What is going on?
I mean, I think all it takes is one person to do it and everybody starts copycatting. If the worst thing is just maybe getting one game, oh no. I don't know. I think it's the stupidest thing ever with all of the legal violence that you're allowed to do in football and all the extracurricular pushing and shoving that already happens after the whistle. This is just like, I don't know what the word I want to use is without coming off as like too disrespectful, but it is just like disrespectful, crummy behavior that why are you it's just stupid. What are you doing?
Well, especially for a guy like Jamar Chase, who's a legit superstar, arguably the best receiver in the league. That's a
Yeah.
different conversation. But this is a guy that doesn't have any issues with stuff like that. Like, you rarely see him get into scraps uh, on the sideline with DBs and stuff and get into battles with them. Like, just really out of character. It's so strange that this is becoming a thing. I just don't get it. I don't remember that ever being a thing watching growing up. I don't think I ever saw that. This is just this new thing where, yeah, I don't get it.
I'm sure you
I don't
did,
get
but it
it,
was
man.
like such a one-off type thing that you would just be like, "Oh, that was dumb," and then you would forget about it,
Yeah.
and he would have the suspension, whatever. I mean, the only thing I can think of for Chase and it being so out of character is just such the frustration that I'm sure that he's been feeling, and a lot of the offensive players have been feeling, not being supported by their defense. Your superstar QB is always in and out of the lineup because they cannot protect him. He's made of glass, maybe a bit of both, and you just end up being like this middling team that wins your 7-8 games a year and just can't get over the hump anymore. Made the Super Bowl once, and after that, beyond that, not much. Maybe it's just frustration
Yeah,
boiling over.
it's almost like making all of your star defensive players hold out isn't good for business, or making them disgruntled.
Hmm.
So actually, I was watching in the summer the Bengals Hard Knocks because every summer I go back and I watch Hard Knocks when there's no football, right, to get kind of my fix. And
Yeah.
so it was like 2008, 2009, like Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson era. Might have been Ocho Cinco at that point, but I digress. Anyway, so but one thing I noticed is like they were making players pay for the right to have TVs in their room at training camp. That's insane.
Yeah.
When we were at like it's just wild, man. Like I don't get it. You are the Cincinnati Bengals. This shouldn't be a poverty franchise. This is a franchise at one point owned by a legend, and it's still within the family, and this is how you're treating your players. It's no wonder you have not been successful despite having one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best receivers, another grade A receiver, and some pretty good defensive weapons, and they've just been useless on defense. And
Yeah,
anyway, Bengals fans.
you got to invest in your players, right? Like obviously the financial part of it is one thing which they seem to feel great about shelling money out to anyone who can catch touchdowns, but beyond that not so much. But even just like the little stupid quality of life things, like I've heard some things about, and I don't want to this hearsay, blah blah blah, but I've heard some things about like I think it was either Cincy or it was Arizona that their food program was just basically like a PB&J sandwich and a little carton of milk, and that's not enough for these for your NFL players who are digesting like 20,000 calories a day. Take care of your players, and they will take care of you. It's the simplest thing in business. Take care of your employees, They'll take care of your company. And if you're not going to do that, then
Yeah, I
you're going to end
feel
up be middling, right?
yeah, I feel like higher ups sometimes kind of get this superiority complex, but it really boils down to like if there's no players, there's no league. You need to take care of them. They are the engine that makes this $1 billion league run. And the teams that seem to take care of their players the best seem to have the most successful teams year after year. So and the teams that listen on those NFLPA charts of who's the best at this or what and listen and get better, they seem to have more success moving forward if you take a look at it. So,
Yeah.
something to keep in mind, Cincinnati Bengals fans. I feel bad for you.
Before
Anyway,
we
moving
move on,
on.
before we move on,
Yeah.
stupid little tidbit of information that I learned this offseason. Do you know what the Bengals are named after?
No, actually.
They're named after an oven. He named the team off of his mother's oven, and the brand was Bengal.
It's a very
for you,
misleading
brother.
logo, hey?
Huh?
Very misleading. Very misleading logo, hey?
Yeah.
Why is it not just an oven? You know what's hilarious? Even if it was an
I don't
oven,
think that
it
would
still
sell.
would be the second worst logo in the division. Cleveland Browns
True.
being the
I,
worst logo in
I think
all of
that
pro
one owner
sports.
just really struggles with team names and logos, despite how
Apparently,
legendary.
anyway, moving on, Dave. Too much time on this subject. Dave, here's something that's really passionate in your heart. You really care about this and have a very strong opinion about it. There's a lot of talk right now. Obviously, the Denver Broncos have been very successful this season.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in spite of Bo Nix, Dave? Or is Bo Nix just a winner?
I think it is 1000% in spite of Bo Nix. We've been having this argument for what feels like 3 years now, ever since he came in the league. Bo Nix is not good. I will give it to you that last year he had a bit of a flash in the pan type thing where he started fooling the believers into thinking he was good. I think he's the type of QB that if you look at the evidence you want, you can pigeonhole what you want to prove your point. But if you look at the evidence as a whole, but if you go in knowing what you want, you're going to see what you want. So, like, you look at their games, right? So they're obviously having a very good season. They're at 9-2, top of the div, blah blah blah. They have only put up over 30 points twice this year. And both of them were against some terrible defenses, including the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. And I know you want to get into the Cowboys later, so I'm not going to step on your toes too much. But we're looking at beating teams like Vegas 10-7. We're looking at beating teams like Houston 18-15. They're Tennessee 2012. These aren't exactly quality offensive output wins. And you look at the Bo Nix individual stats, which sure maybe I'm pigeonholing things. 86.1 is his QB rating. He's only been over 100 for his rating twice, and that was against Indianapolis and Dallas, which obviously Dallas, again, not a great defense. That was the one of the only games that you put up over 30 points, put up 40 points. But we're against quality teams, against Philadelphia, 87. Even against Tennessee, not a good team. Your rating is 60.1 or 60 on the dot. Against Las Vegas, 54.2. These are not good numbers. Patrick Surtain and your defense are carrying you. Maybe you can spin it as he's a winner, but I think they're winning in spite of him, and he's doing just enough to skitter by to this 9-2 record.
I mean, Dave, there is a certain quarterback that you idolized that got carried by his defense for about 5 years before putting it all together in 2007 and then losing the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Trent Dilfer.
Nope. Talking about the one that people regard as the GOAT, actually.
Uh-huh. Sure, we will see you in 5 years, but for right now, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't think that he will ever get to that level, obviously.
No.
But, yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like, I feel the one thing that I do think he does really well, and you got to give him credit for, he is a big moment player. He will suck. He's almost like a better version of Tim Tebow in
I
the
was
sense
just
where
thinking that.
he's
Yeah,
not useless in the first three quarters. He's just average. And then in the fourth, when they need him, he's typically at his best. So that is a good quality to have. Obviously, he needs to get better in the first three quarters for this team to be a legit contender to win the Super Bowl despite their record. Unless you want to do a like 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars deal where he's obviously better than Blake Bortles, but that defense carried that team with all the turnovers they forced, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's it's interesting watching the Broncos play and hearing the discourse on Knicks, but I still think he's young and has a lot of room to grow. So
young,
we
isn't he?
will
Like
see moves.
27.
Yeah, he was an older rookie. Yep.
Yeah.
Such
Oh,
an
he's
interesting
25.
player.
He's
Yeah, he's
so
25 years
yeah.
old.
He's not that old.
Dave, his prefrontal cortex isn't even developed yet. Like, come on.
You can tell that.
Imagine what's going to happen.
You can tell that to the women he dates. It's not enough for me to believe in him.
We'll remember that going forward.
Yeah.
You're going to get a big change at like 26, 27, I'm telling you. We'll move on to primetime games. We'll discuss the three primetime games this week, starting with yesterday's matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. Dave, what did you think of that one?
I mean, I think that was an absolute barn burner. I think that was the most fun game I've ever watched this entire season. No, I think that the Vegas experiment with Pete Carroll has kind of been a failure. Sure, you don't have the greatest offensive weapons. Yes, you have Bowers. Sure, you have Genty, but I don't think beyond that you have. And you just traded Jacoby Myers. Beyond that, I don't think you have much. But you have decent offensive contributors given the right system, and I think that both Chip Kelly, the fact that we brought that back in as an experiment is mind blowing to me. I don't think his scheme works out in the NFL. I think Pete Carroll has lost it. I think the NFL has passed him by, just as it did the Bill Belichick's of the world. I think that this is going to be a one and done year, and Vegas is going to blow it up and have to rebuild all over again. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree with you 100%. Dave, do you remember when Chip Kelly revolutionized college football forever? That seems like if you watch him call a game now, you would never know that. It's so vanilla. He doesn't. It's just so predictable. Like I know like they don't have the best talent in the world. Their offensive line is really struggling, which is making Geno probably look worse than he is at this point of his career. But just the lack of movement, it's so static and predictable. It's really weird to see his career arc go from this super innovative guy who really introduced the hurry up spread. He wasn't the first one to do it, but he's the one that made it popular and did it the best.
Yeah.
And the reason college football is what it is offensively now is in large part due to him. You wouldn't know that watching him now. And then as far as Pete Carroll goes, like he's not calling the plays on defense, but he might as well be. You can see the Seattle 3 uh, feel of that defense kind of in everything. You see the press bail stuff, you see them sitting in one high all the time, and it seems like they refuse to adapt, and like you have to constantly change what you do, and it doesn't seem like Pete Carroll does that. It's just the status quo. And you believe it or not, aren't going to have four Hall of Famers on your defense at the same time very often to make things like that work. So,
No, yeah, the
yeah,
meta for defense is very much like the two high safety shell at this point. So to be always in this one high is you're not in the meta anymore. It's passed you by. And with Chip Kelly, like yes, it was revolutionary 20 years ago, but so was the black and white TV. We're on to color TVs now. We got Blu-ray disc players. That's actually even out now. So it's revolutionary for the time, but if you just stick in that time period, fast forward 20 years, it's not all that interesting anymore.
Yeah, and speaking of non-revolutionary ideas, Quinton Williams looks excellent for the Cowboys. That's a great pickup by them, obviously. We alluded to that. I thought he was outstanding yesterday. He is covering up a lot of holes in that Cowboys defense. There was a sequence where the Raiders went, I think, with three play actions in a row and just had receivers wide open downfield because Eberf- Eberflus's defense does not have the mechanism to defend it, and against good teams, they are going to get ripped to shreds, even with studs like Williams in the fold now for them. I don't understand why coordinators don't fix stuff like this. They have linebackers hard filling on flow in a one high look, and you don't. I'll show later. We're going to talk about what the Rams did against Sam Darnold, and they had a great plan for exactly that. This has been the book on him for like 3 years now, and he just doesn't change, and it just drives you nuts. Like, you can't just sit in one high spot drop zone, or even if it's match, if you have a linebacker in a primary run fit against an under center team, you're going to get ripped to shreds, and they just keep doing the same stuff. It's just awful. I hate it watching it. You're doing a disservice to your players. Fix it, man. Like, fix it. You can't just sit in the same shit over and over again. It's like the Gus Bradley experience. I just don't understand. And this is a guy that in 2017-18 with the Colts, in Lux last year, really had a good unit. It's just, again, the failure to adapt just is astonishing to me. I just don't understand it. But Cowboys pull away in that one. Interesting. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens bench to start the game. That was, I wonder what's going on there. I don't know if that's come out yet, but maybe Brian Schottenheimer trying to send a message. Once they got back in the game, George Pickens had a day. CeeDee Lamb had a couple of great catches as well. What do you think the ceiling is for the Cowboys? Like, I just talked about their defense, but Dak looks really good right now, and I know they only have 4 wins now, I believe, after that, but Dak does look really good and the most comfortable he's looked in years.
Yeah, I think Dak has always been this kind of underrated quarterback. Like, I would take him over at least half of the QBs. Not without doing the real math, I'd take him over half the QBs in the league.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just him being healthy, you got him another big, scary outside weapon. Like, he was great with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. You got him another big X that he can throw balls up to. Javonte Williams hasn't been an entire disappointment as a running back. I think,
Yeah, it's been okay.
yeah, I think he's just kind of back into his normal productive self. It's not going to be super flashy and like explosive and show up on ESPN, but it's a game. Not going to say champion. It's a playoff offense. And I think that if the defense can complement that, then Dallas would be doing just fine. But as of right now, I think, yeah, 7-8 wins is probably where they're going to end up. 10, maybe 12.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, like getting Quinton Williams, really good for them. But if your scheme is terrible, like it's just not going to work against the better echelon of teams. So we will see what happens with the Cowboys going forward. We'll move on now to the Sunday game, Dave. Philly, Detroit, two offenses that in the past couple years have really been explosive. A 16-9 game. Defensive battle. What are you seeing from these two teams offensively, and why are they struggling so much this year? I know there's been a lot made about Hurts, and there's the whole AJ Brown situation and everything like that. But the Lions, I know Dan Campbell took over play call duties last week, taking over from his offensive coordinator. What have you seen that's like slowed both of these units down compared to the explosive selves they used to be?
Yeah, watching that game was, I was at work, kind of had the TV on in the background, so I didn't get to like completely immerse myself in what I was watching. But when it comes to Detroit, there's a lot to be said about missed big plays. There were a lot of drops. I thought Jameson Williams could have had close to 200 yards, but just balls were sailing through his hands. Some throws were either behind, high, low, short. Goff wasn't his normal MVP type self. But balls were just slipping through receivers' hands constantly, so that doesn't help you. And eventually, I typically I was wrong about Dan Campbell from the very start. I'll say that. And I love his aggressiveness. But at some point, it's just getting in your way. Going 0 for 5 when I last checked on fourth downs, there's no reason to go for fourth down 5 times. And not getting a single one, especially I believe 2 were on the goal line, red zone type area, that loses you the game right there. You kick those 2 field goals, you're in a much better spot. I think just losing your offensive coordinator, I think losing Ben Johnson, I think that shows that he was really the MVP mind behind how explosive that offense was. And you can try to replace it with next man up, but that doesn't always work out. And now Dan Campbell's doing it. I think that's probably a bad decision. Let your OC kind of try and figure it out and put his own stamp on it so that maybe next year, I mean, they're doing fine, right? Like they have a fine record. Like they're still competing for the top of their division. Let your new OC figure it out. Maybe next year he can kind of think about it, sleep on it, put all the things together. As for Philly, I just don't know. I watch and I really don't know. I can't figure out why they're not doing so hot this year.
I don't get why they don't know how to use AJ Brown. Like it's just such a weird thing. I've heard people like that are like really close within like media talk on different podcasts and stuff about how like Jalen Hurts likes it really simple. Like Chris Sims was talking about that, how he's talked to a ton of people, and it's because Hurts wants it simple and can't run certain plays and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is, but this guy is still so explosive and such a good player, and I feel like he runs 3 routes. They don't use him in the play action game, which he was so good against Tennessee. Like this guy, and the Eagles have a great run game with Saquon Barkley and their offensive line, right? Like Tennessee was so good with AJ Brown because they would pound the ball with Derrick Henry, then they would go play action game and get one-on-ones with Brown, whether it be a diagonal across the field, post corners, things of that nature. And they don't really use them like that. Or if they do, Hurts doesn't find him. It's just so odd to me. Like you have 2, I would say top 10, top 15 receivers at worst. Arguably, you could put them higher. I know the production hasn't been there from Brown and not as much for Smith as you probably could be in a different system and maybe a different quarterback. But I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. And I also feel like, remember when the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs that year with Shane Steichen at the helm as the OC? Hurts looked awesome. I don't get why they can't find that formula again. So it's just been really odd. Maybe teams have figured them out. I'd have to dive more into the film to look at that, but you have all those weapons. You have an elite run game. I don't understand how this team is not more productive offensively.
No, you have a Ferrari of an offense, and so you've somehow either flooded the engine or just put a tarp over it and only drive it out of the driveway on special occasions. I don't understand it either. You have all the tools to be successful, and you're not using them.
Just mind-numbing, hey? I just don't get it. Speaking of mind-numbing, Dave, the New York Jets beat by your Patriots on Thursday night. We can talk about the game a little bit. How shocked are you at the success of the Patriots this year under Mike Vrabel? Obviously, you knew things were going to be better, but if you look at the Patriots' schedule coming up, it's pretty weak. Like they might be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
There's a lot of different things I want to bring up, but first I'm going to demand a formal public apology from you for your hate on Stephon Diggs.
You know what? On the Film Grinders podcast, we admit when we're wrong here. I was dead wrong. I thought he was going to be a distraction. I thought he was washed. He has been damn good. He has been really good. So, Stephon Diggs, I apologize.
Thank you. That's all.
Right now, you're the man. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Go on.
Except for about Bo Nix, but that's neither here nor there. Being a Patriots fan has been so much fun this year. I think we did expect them to be better. We do have a weaker schedule, and people will point to that with our success, which half of that is fair. I'll be honest, but Buffalo, Miami have the exact same schedule, and they're not doing as hot, right? In fact, they're losing to the Patriots. The Patriots go to Miami and win, something that hasn't happened in like 6 years. They go to Buffalo, and usually they go 1-1 with Buffalo. They'll have kind of a trappy game. That game was hard fought, and I don't think anyone can say that was a trap game. Drake May is obviously playing at an MVP caliber level. He's just absolutely nuts. And I think the biggest part is that this coaching staff maybe might be the most underrated. You have several former head coaches on there, and you can say like maybe there was a concern that maybe there was too many cooks in the kitchen, but with Mike Vrabel's leadership, Josh McDaniels, and Thomas Brown on offense. Well, shoot, old head coach of Jaguars, our O-line coach.
Oh, I can literally see his face. Doug Marrone.
Doug Marrone on the O-line.
Great O-line coach. Not a good head coach, but a great O-line coach.
Great O-line coach. And you can see that with just how great Will Campbell's been playing, right? And obviously Mike Vrabel coaching the defense. This might be one of the best staffs in the NFL, and it's just being overlooked. And I think that you give Vrabel and his guys stretch another year, 2. Watch out, NFL. Patriots are back, baby. We had 5 years off, but we're back.
Yeah, the most undeserving fan base of this, but hey, they're doing it right. Like, as a Jags fan, I watch Mike Vrabel teams twice a year for his whole tenure there, and every single year, no matter how bad they were, there was a couple of years where they were just stricken by injuries. They were tough as shit. They always had a good plan on the defensive side of the ball, and they didn't make mistakes. You always had, they were never going to screw the game up. And sometimes it's boring to watch. I would say that's not the case with this Patriots team, but it was always effective, and they were always such a well-coached team. I don't know why Tennessee let him go. I said it when it happened, that this roster is bad. This is not his fault. He seems like such a player's coach too, and everyone loves him. He's such a character. And yeah, like Josh McDaniels on that staff. McDaniels is a terrible head coach.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any debate. He's an excellent offensive coordinator, and I think that kind of gets lost in the shuffle because of the struggles he has had as a head coach. As an OC, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And there's a reason Brady was so effective those years, as good as Brady was. Like, McDaniels did play a big part in that, and I think you would agree. Really good play caller, knows how to adjust in the run game, and I really like his offense. They were really good at attacking, especially in the slot, for all those years. So, yeah, like, they have a good staff. Doug Marrone's a great O-line coach. When I watch their defense, it's a sound unit that doesn't make mistakes and does a good job in making teams play left-handed. And with this week's schedule, they're back, and I don't like it, but they're back. So,
hey man, things were so difficult for us just recently. We earned this.
yeah, cry me a river, man. Cry me a river.
No one made you be a
me.
Jaguars fan. No one made you do that. You made that choice.
Yeah, but I'm loyal. I gotta stick to it, you know? Gotta stick to it. No bandwagon for me. But anyway, enough about the Patriots. I'm sure we'll hear about them lots in the upcoming weeks as they have a soft schedule for the rest of the year and are playing at a very high level. So I would not be surprised if they're the 1 seed come season end. Moving on to our first What's Wrong With segment of the year. Today we will be going over what is wrong with Sam Darnold when he plays the Rams. So I made a lovely PowerPoint here. I took a look at the coach's film on what exactly is going on with Darnold in this game, in games when he plays the Rams. All right, so here we go. So, big thing about Darnold, right? I have highlighted here average time thrown pass here. Darnold is number 9 in the league. He likes to get the ball out quick. He's a good pre-snap processor, and he's at a point in his career as a veteran now where he doesn't see ghosts a lot anymore. So if you change structure, typically he is able to diagnose it and get the ball to where he wants. When he plays the Rams, they are really good at knowing what he wants. As you see here, his average time to throw goes up, right, by a whole 0.2 seconds. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but in a game, that actually makes a massive difference. That's the difference between an interception, a completion, or a sack. So the Rams did a lot of really good things to take away a lot of Darnold's favorite plays and ways to stay ahead of the chain. So we'll go into that now. So one thing they did, whenever Seattle was under center, big part of this Clint Kubiak defense, or offense rather. Sorry, Clint Kubiak offense. Play action game under center, right? With those tight splits, hitting over routes, things of that nature. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to draw linebackers into conflict and then throw the ball over top of them as they fill on runs. So the Rams had a great plan for this and taking this away to not give Sam Darnold any easy completions. So you'll see here Sam Darnold under center, Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Remember, on these play action plays, Darnold has to turn his back to the defense. So pre snap right now, what he is seeing is a too high look, right? Almost looks like a two-man look by the corners alignment. So where is Darnold going to try to work on the field? He's going to try to work the middle of the field. That's a weakness of two-man. Now, what happens post-snap, as you see me draw here, the Rams are going to rotate their safety into a robber look. So this safety is going to cut, looking for an inbreaker, and then this safety is going to play a middle third. So it turns into almost a cover one look with your safeties. So we'll move on to the next slide. So Darnold is going to get to his route here in the middle of the field. Kupp kind of runs that kind of crosser stop route that you see so often. And as he looks to make that throw, you have a safety in this window. I know it looks like there's quite a bit of space here, and a corner playing tight to this route. And there's nowhere to go with this safety playing over top of the deep crosser, which Darnold looks to throw first. So they changed the picture. Darnold is late on the throw because of it, and this ends up being an incompletion, taking away easy shot plays, big chunk plays. Here's another example here. This play, you have one high safety. Yes, he's outside of the hash marks, but typically when you see this, this is a true drop back situation. The Rams did a really good job taking away inbreakers where Darnold seemed to want to throw the ball quite a bit in this game. When you see this look, typically, you're thinking the safety is going to sink to the middle of the field and play with depth. The Rams, what they're doing with this safety here, they're playing hard on any crossers or digs. So this gives the illusion that he's going to drop into the middle of the field here. And now when this inbreaker comes, he cuts it in half, giving Darnold a different picture and thought, which leads to a broken up pass here. I know it looks like this is open, but he closes rather quickly. Corners playing outside in, safety inside out. It's an incomplete pass, a little bit of a drop, but nonetheless, it's a tighter window than expected. You have tight end doubled here, so Darnold can't get to where he wants to throw. Now, here's something that Matt Eberflus should take note of. So sometimes against these under center sets, especially with Barner lined up as a fullback almost here, you have to be able to play one high and gap out. Now, the Rams do such a good job with their backers of playing what's called a robot technique. And what that is, it's a Nick Saban term, is as Darnold opens up to show run here, I believe this is Charbonnet in the backfield on this play, the backers need to fit, especially against a fullback here. They have a gap to fill, and they're going to fit off of run. The second they diagnose play action, this linebacker is going to put his foot in the ground, turn, and just haul ass to the first crosser he sees. The Rams have the luxury of having athletic linebackers that are capable of doing this, and with a safety in the middle of the field here in one high, this is a great job of cutting crossing routes, which Dave, as an offensive guy, when you see this and you go hard play action, crossing routes are wide open over top of these linebackers typically, but the Rams were so locked into their details and knew where the crossers were coming from that they were able to cut them off. So this is what it looks like post snap. You have a nickel here in man taking away Kupp, plus this robot linebacker right in the frame, right where Darnold wants to go to the ball. And then they do a good job of doubling the secondary crosser, so Darnold has nowhere to go. I believe on this play, he checked this down to Barner on the sideline. Here, This one, this is the pick on the right sideline that happened. This play was one that I don't blame Darnold at all for. So what we have here is, to me, again, I'm not in the room, so I don't know the exact rules on this, but this looks how they are protecting this. It looks like it's the 7-man pro with Charbonnet in here. It looks like the slide side is here, okay, with 76, 67, and Barner here. Looks like they're sliding this way, and then we're going 3 for 3 on this side with the center taking this guy right here, guard taking that guy, tackle taking, is that Young or Verse? I think that's Verse off the edge, and then Charbonnet is responsible for the linebacker if he comes. What happens is, numbers wise, we have this blocked up, but we get a very, very simple little pick stunt here with Fisk coming through. And then I think this is Young, actually. Or is this Verse? Why can't I remember what number Jared Verse is? Anyway, he comes and stunts inside. Center has to take the one tech here crossing. And now because of this, Darnold has a free runner in his face, doesn't get enough on the ball and throws the pick on the sideline. There's 3 against 2 here. I don't, like, again, I'm not in the room, so I don't know the rule here, but either 72 has to go with this stunt, which is not really a recipe for success, or there needs to be better communication here and they need to pass off Fisk. Oh, need to pass off Fisk, and 72 now needs to take him. Again, not in the room, don't know the rule here if they need to lock on or pass, but what I do know is they messed it up, and this leads to a pick on the sideline. This is another one where I don't really blame Darnold. This is just a pretty incredible play by the Rams. So this is another interception. You have kind of a bender against a too high look. It looks like the Rams are in cover 6, so they're playing cover 2 to the boundary here, and then to the field they're playing cover 4. You're going to get a little bender out here. Safety is going to drop outside of the numbers and be outside leverage. So you're going to throw this all day, right, Dave, when you see this structure?
Yep, not even a question. Hit your back foot.
Not even a
drive forward.
So the Rams do a good job of walling this, and as that receiver breaks inside of the numbers towards the hash mark, this safety just makes a ridiculous play. Look at where he is as the ball snapped. And then I forgot to put the next clip in here, but essentially what happens is as he tries to wrap around the backer, the safety puts his foot in the ground and cuts the play off beautifully as they vice this receiver here for another interception. I don't even think this is a bad read. I think it's just a ridiculous play by this guy here. Last couple here. Again, under center, here's a creative way of passing off the play action crossing routes. This backer is going to work to Smith and Jigba, and then this safety is going to cut the deep, skinny post here by Shaheed. So pre-snap, this looks like a one high look. Again, if you're a quarterback, Dave, and you're going hard play fake, you want to work this middle of the field against one high when these backers get sucked up. But they do such a good job of the safety here. So it's actually the backside safety right here. He's going to cut off this crosser, and then this safety is going to be able to cut off the deep crosser by Shaheed because you have to put more arc on this throw, right? Unless Darnold absolutely rips it in here. If he does, it's probably a suicide ball. If not, and he tries to air it out, the safety's in good position. So a creative way of taking away these easy crossers. And again, Darnold is forced to check the ball down. So that's what I have there for kind of what's wrong with Sam Darnold against the Rams. It's really simply just taking away his comfort routes in the play action game to make him function as a drop back passer over and over again, and then taking away those inside breakers between the hashes, Dave. Is there anything else you noticed?
Yeah, just from an offensive standpoint, and I'm a big believer in Clint Kubiak, and I really like what he's been doing. I've liked what he's been doing since he was in New Orleans. But things that I have noticed with Seattle, and this isn't just against the Rams, but I think specifically against the Rams, they play a very similar type offense to the Sean McVay system, condensed formations, play action. It's work the middle of the field. on those digs and posts. So if anyone knows how to defend it, it's probably McVay, right? But from what I'm seeing with Seattle, and it's not, as I said, it's not just this week, is that number one, I don't like their run action. I don't think it's fooling those linebackers, and that's so important when you have your back to the defense as Darnold. I'm seeing Kenneth Walker absolutely dog his fakes, not even like a little fake up. He's just kind of taken through the hole, either running his route or looking at pass pro right away. I'm seeing no linebackers get sucked up to open up the deep digs over top of them. They're just either sitting flat and then, oh, yeah, you're right. It's not a run. Back up right away. As you kind of said, go straight to the first crosser they see. And I think that's a really big detriment. The other thing I've kind of noticed specifically for the Seahawks game, or not again, the Rams game, is they sent a lot of trippy kind of stunts and pressures off of the right side, forcing Darnold to roll to his left. Now, again, we're not in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. I want to be in the room where it happens. Every time Darnold got pressure on his right side, you would see him kind of do this reverse pivot, which you do teach a lot of, but it's, again, putting your back to the defense. And that works if you're getting pressure off of your left side because you want to dip out and around where that pressure is coming from. But if your pressure is coming from the right, you can still, it's tough. You got to end up flipping your left shoulder back over, but you can still keep your eyes downfield. There's no reason to do that complete flip, right? There's footwork around that stuff. So if you can take your eyes off of, make Darnold take his eyes off of downfield twice in the same play, that is going to increase his time in the pocket before throw, which you already talked about. Playing that press coverage, sending those blitzes, it's just going to make his life a lot harder. And that's kind of what I saw against the Rams and kind of all season when he's struggled.
Yeah, that's a really good point there, Dave, with making him roll to his left. The Rams would intentionally take their outside defensive ends, stump them inside with no looper or anything, and just let him get to the edge and then track him down with an inside backer and make him throw. It was something that they seemed very comfortable with, and Darnold did complete a couple of passes in those situations, but it was harder for him and he was much less effective. So I wonder if that is going to be a tendency going forward for other teams. Like, is that going to kind of be the key to beating him? And in last year's playoff game, like when he's on the run, he's much less effective. He's not a statue by any means. He can move, but he's not a truly mobile guy.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to be kind of the game plan towards him going forward. And will teams copy this? And will he be able to rebound and make adjustments and be effective?
Yep, agreed. He's sneaky athletic, but he's not exactly a dual threat. You get a team with athletic linebackers, which is what the league's trending to, like the 220, 218 type linebackers that could just track him down. And physical corners on the outside playing tough man. Yeah, there's your recipe.
Yeah. You know what would work really well too is the old like Belichick flush stuff, like the 5-0 looks on passing downs and getting that end to stunt inside, and then you have a backer walked up as a nose. He loops post snap, and you just track him down, right? And you could double and jigba in a man look doing that, and kind of feel okay in man against everyone else if you have an okay secondary. So I wonder if that's something we'll see going forward.
Yeah.
We'll move on now to squashing the narrative this week. Now, this is a conversation that happened a lot last week, but again, we didn't have a show. Travis Hunter out for the season with a knee injury that happened in practice. A lot of talk about how, number one, he's not able to play DB and receiver at the same time. This is just going to happen over and over again. I'm going to disagree with that vehemently here. I think number one, people that are saying that he's not good at corner and receiver, you're not watching the film. Before being hurt, he was the Jaguars' best receiver. He was open a lot. They didn't use him particularly well. It was very horizontal, and when they did use him vertically, he was very effective, but there was not a lot of that. Yes, he struggled to pick up the offense and defense at the same time, but I think with another year under his belt, he will be perfectly fine. Number two, people that are saying he's a bad core, actually, we'll get to that in a sec. That injury is a fluke. right? It's something that rarely ever happens. It happened to someone last year, and I can't remember what player it was. I saw the tweet, and I can't remember. It's just a freak injury. I don't like, again, I'm not a huge sports science guy, injury prevention guy, but it's just a freak injury that happened at practice. You see players tear their ACL in practice. It happens far too often, but it does happen, right? Like, Dave, you can't just stop with this unicorn of a player just because of one freak injury. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those naysayers will again pick and choose their evidence. And yeah, oh yeah, he tore his ACL. That's probably why. I don't think they have anything to do with each other. Players get freak accidents all the damn time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it wasn't his ACL. It was like I think it was his LCL. So it was like a super freak injury. It's just
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
But I would say like all of his struggles this year were like just the mental aspect of picking up an NFL defense and offense at the same time. I think with another year in his belt, he can do it. Maybe they need to change how they use him. Maybe he's like a full-time defender with like 35 to 40 plays, which I think you actually suggested initially when we talked about him in the draft process, rather than the flip of that. But the other thing I wanted to address is people that say that he's not a good corner. Like, you need to watch the film, man. Like, it's not just about interceptions. Share my screen here. Against good receivers, he fully held his own. So against T. Higgins, now like the PFF stats are hit and miss, right? But like, I watched this film, he was all over T. Higgins. Higgins got open. I think it says once here. I think it was actually twice technically. The only reason he got open is because Hunter's not quite strong enough yet. He's a rookie. He needs to get to the weight room and get stronger, like all NFL players do when they enter the league. T. Higgins is a grown ass man. Hunter is a little bit younger. He can get there. That's a learnable skill. It's just investing in the weight room. But as far as hip fluidity, turning with Higgins, he was all over him all game. Really good film here. And you're never going to be perfect as a DB. Against Nico Collins, he struggled a little bit more, but really held his own. I think Nico Collins is super, super underrated. He's so good, especially on those inbreakers, those digs across the middle. And Hunter didn't look out of place. Yossi Vash, whatever, it doesn't really matter. He was pretty good. And then he did a really good job against Smith and Jigba, who's been just ripping up defenders this year, minus the Rams game, right? So this is a legit deep corner one. He's also excellent in zone coverage, has a great feel for routes, which was kind of the book coming out on him, as that was his specialty. This guy can play man too. When he's in press man, he's really fixed his technique. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was in college already. This is a number one corner in my books. And this is a number one receiver as well, depending on how you use him. I I don't think he's going to be a bust, and I think he can do this at the NFL level after watching him. I know it was a very short sample size, but I have no doubts in my mind that he is going to be a star going forward.
yeah. I mean, even looking at these stats, and yeah, PFF, grain of salt, blah blah blah. You look at just the targets and receptions as well. Like, yeah, we look at matchups and open, but Nico Collins opened 6 times. He's still only targeted twice, 2 receptions, 23 yards. If you tell me that I'm going to put a corner over top of Nico Collins and only allow 23 yards on 2 catches, I'll take that all day. I would call that a shutdown, to be honest. Same with Njigba. Like, yes, got open 4 times, but only targeted 3 times and 1 reception, 12 yards. Again, I will take that all goddamn day. So I think you're right in saying that he could very well be a top corner in this league. Just let's give him time. Let's not worry about it too much. We knew it was going to be a learning curve with him as well. So
It's not overreact too
yeah.
early here. And it's going to bring us to our final segment of the day. It is the Canadian of the week. Dave, all yours.
Yeah, so this week's Canadian of the week is Theo Johnson, tight end for the New York Giants. He is kind of been a rotating role. We're seeing his role increase as the weeks go by. If we look at, I know this wasn't this week, but we haven't done a show for a very long time. So if we look at 2 weeks ago, he had 7 receptions on 8 targets, 75 yards. That's absolutely tight end one type production. He has recently, ever since week 3, he's had 3 or more receptions in every single game. We're seeing his targets go up. We're seeing targets of 7-4, 7-4, 6, 8-4. Again, I feel like that's more than tight end 2 type involvement in the offense. He has, cut this short, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns on the year. That's borderline tight end 1 type productivity. So thank you, Theo Johnson. You're representing us really well down south in an offense that isn't doing too hot, isn't too great, but you're showing out.
Yeah, he really seems to be building that chemistry with Jackson Dart, and that could be a deadly duo going forward. I think another thing I wanted to say is I know Dart's been hurt a bunch this year, but I think I might have been totally wrong about Dart. I know you were pretty high on him. I didn't really see it. He looks good. Like he just looks like an NFL player. He's an absolute gamer, and he's looked really good in his rookie year. Again, I know he's been hurt and he needs to learn how to slide, et cetera, et cetera. But I think if he just continues to get better, this guy's going to be a star. And I was dead wrong about him. So
I can't take all the credit. Like I was higher on him than you and other people, but I
yeah,
mostly liked him because of his physical traits, not because of his mental traits. And the fact that he's come in year 1 and done as well as he is, like I didn't see this coming. Absolutely not.
yeah, it's pretty rare for a player to go from looking to the sideline and snapping the ball like that to calling full plays in the huddle, full cadence, and looking pretty natural at it. So that is pretty exceptional. And he's got Theo Johnson, good Canadian boy, with him to
Good
throw the
Canadian
ball.
kid.
Good Canadian kid. Yeah. So, guys, thank you for joining us here on the Film Grinders podcast. We are happy to be back, and we will be back next week, same day, unless Diva Dave over here has another acting gig or something of that nature. But I will be here ready to go if he is, and we hope you guys join us too. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time, guys.